Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Jonny here. Hello.
Perfect. Very big day today. I've been waiting for this day for years, actually.
You have been talking about a guitar for 2 decades, probably. Coming here.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, it's saying you'll love one of these guitars. Got to get one day.
Yeah. But
So
but the order actually went in
probably 2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
Today is the first day of Jonny building my guitar. For any of you that remember, when Jonny refretted Red and Blue, the Italian Strat, a couple of years ago, and while I was filming, I picked up a guitar that I always pick up whenever I come here. Just as an aside,
I'm getting used to Frank Gambale,
Sorry,
by the way.
Frank Gambale.
Anyone who's getting annoyed at my camera work is because I'm getting used to Frank Gambale.
for years I've been coming here and lusting over this guitar. It is absolutely divine. Anyway, I'm ordering one. I've given in. I'm going to order one.
have you discussed this with your wife?
That's a question a guitar maker should never ask.
How long does it take to build a guitar like this?
You will wait just over 2 years,
Okay.
I'm afraid.
So we shall follow its progress.
And that is the rosewood back and sided version of the Kingsdown model.
Okay, so tell me a bit about this guitar.
Well, size-wise, it is based on a Martin OM,
Right.
which was an instrument Martin company made in about 1929, I believe, if I can remember my history correctly, for a banjo player. All the guitars used to have the body join in the neck here.
Right.
The banjo players at that time wanted more frets
Okay.
to whittle around on more, so Martin redesigned the shape of guitars slightly to accommodate that.
Right.
And it's got the longer scale length rather than the shorter scale length, i.e. 25.4 rather than 24.9.
Right.
And it's a medium body size. It's 15 inches across here, which is the same as the Martin, and this dimension here is the same as the Martin. The body depth I've probably increased by a couple of millimetres,
Right.
and the outline I've changed as well.
Okay.
I didn't want to ever copy them exactly.
Sure.
But it's sort of effectively looks similar, but if you line the two up, you'll find that curve there is moved out by a quarter of an inch. That curve there is moved in quarter of an inch.
Oh, okay.
The reason and the waist has been moved that way by maybe as much as half an inch. I can't remember. And the idea was to get the bridge more in the middle of that resonating
area.
diaphragm.
Yeah.
The thing becomes more efficient if that bridge is bang in the middle of that, which it is on a 12 fret neck guitar, but
Right.
14 fret neck guitars obviously
Oh, I
everything
see.
gets pulled out
Yeah,
that way,
right.
so you get a better balance out of a 12 fret neck guitar, but everybody wants the extra access.
Yes, of course.
So
So how long have you been making this model for?
these I started making in about 1982, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to follow the progress of this build. We're going to start by picking some wood, I believe.
yeah, we picked some wood up. I can show you different woods that you could have used.
Okay.
But people, the common woods anyway. I'll run
Right.
you through some bits of timber and say,
Awesome.
Look, here are some various options. This is the rosewood that you've chosen. The previous guitar was Brazilian mahogany.
Right. Okay.
So
So what's going to happen is I'm going to film as much of the build as I can. How long does it take to build a guitar?
well, it'll take 2.5 months from start to finish.
Okay.
I should think.
Jonny will explain what's going on, as the guitar progresses, and at the
Yeah.
very end, I shall have one of these of my very own. Now, I just want to say, I'm paying Jonny full price. Jonny hasn't given me any discount. He's certainly not knocked off any waiting time for me. So it's all as it should be.
Yes.
I'm a massive fan of Jonny's work, have been for years. Jonny's the only guy I will let look after my guitars. And so just genuinely excited about having you build my guitar, but showing people the process.
Yeah, that's good thing to do. Good thing to do.
Definitely.
I'd love to share this stuff. So
all right, I'm really excited. So let's get started with some wood, shall we?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Jonny, talk to me about wood.
Okay, wood. Well, if you have a look on the bench here, I've assembled you a few samples of different sorts of timber that you might make a guitar out of.
When we're looking for a piece of timber for the soundboard, what are we looking for? So what are you looking for specifically?
Well, that the grain is nice and straight.
Right.
Usually, you're usually looking for pieces of timber that have come out of a tree that's split. Which, how do I explain that? And of course that it's quarter-sawn, which I can explain as well. But if you look at that offcut there, that's the offcut of some soundboards that too small for soundboard. I'll use it for strut wood. So the soundboards will come out of a tree, like if the tree was standing here.
Yep.
This is how they'd be cut into logs like that and then split down there like you were chopping firewood, splitting firewood. That way you know you've got the grain running through the timber,
yes,
rather than jumping up.
Oh, okay,
out.
yes.
It's going to be a lot stronger, and you can see by the way the splits on the edge of here that it's come from that way of cutting.
Right.
So it's a much higher way of producing a strong piece of timber. It's a much more expensive and wasteful way, you can argue.
Right.
But and only the best bits will do it. If it's a twisted piece of log or spiraled, you try and split it, it won't create a flat surface.
Okay.
So all these tops will come off a section of timber that's part of a tree trunk, split, and then they start slicing it into slices. Bizarrely, even though it's wide, it's still very stiff.
Okay.
So we're looking for pieces that are split, quarter-sawn, which means the grain's standing up on end. Again, you can probably see that better on there.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Because if it's cut out of the tree like this, the grain's running around in circles like that, isn't it?
Yep.
And then you end up taking the slices off that. The grain is always going to be standing up perpendicular to the face of the plank of wood. And again, that's the more expensive way of producing timber. It's more stable is why you do it. So basically the straighter and the more quarter-sawn it is, the more stable you're going to get a piece of wood.
Specifically for a soundboard?
Well, no, for all woods on the back of all woods that guitar's made of. The thing's so thin, slices of timber, that it needs to be as strong as it possibly can be.
Right.
Whereas if you're making a tabletop or a bench or a chair, you can get away with, a lot more.
So
a few knots in it.
The size of the guitar is still quarter-sawn?
The sides are quarter-sawn, the back's quarter-sawn. The neck's quarter-sawn mostly. The neck's mostly quarter-sawn.
Right.
Fender necks traditionally were slab cut.
Yep.
Which is the grain going
Yep.
the other way or at 45 degrees. If you make a Fender neck quarter-sawn with the grain standing up, it'll make a stiffer neck.
Yes.
Which you can argue a Fender enthusiast will go, well, that's probably not quite the right Fender sound. It'll make the neck stiffer and maybe make it even brighter. But it's going to make it stronger.
Wow.
For certain.
Okay, so what are we looking at for my guitar?
Right, then the other timber I use mostly is good old Sitka spruce. Now this stuff will have come from Alaska.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it's my favoured timber because it's still expensive, but it's reasonably priced.
Right.
And I like the sound it gives.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of cedar tops because it doesn't grow and mature. Whereas the spruce top just gets better and better and better the more you play it. And it's slightly more durable when you're actually building a guitar as well, which I like. The cedar's so fragile, you can put a dent in it incredibly easily.
Right.
So these are different grade pieces of wood. I mean, the wood yard's graded that as an A grade piece, but there's kind of nothing. Okay, it's going wobbly here, but make a smaller instrument out of it, and that's not, included. But that would be why it's not such a posh grade.
So what are the grades?
Well, the grades, different timber yards will grade things differently, but they generally use A's and multiples of A. So it's A is a lower grade,
Right.
AA, then AAAA, and then AAAA plus, and then finally they might go to master grade.
Right.
But
Like Canadian GCSEs.
is that right?
Eh?
Is that right?
Right.
Here's something else that we need to build your guitar, and that's the mould it's going to get built in. So
And you've been using this mould since the 80s?
I think I made that in 1982, I think.
Wow. Oh,
And it's called the Kingsdown model, which is all the guitar models here are named after districts of Bristol.
Oh, well.
And we're in the Kingsdown district.
My guitar,
Yeah.
where are the bits for that?
Your bits are downstairs in a drying cabinet. We can
Oh, wow.
Right, I just want those 3 pieces.
Yes! That is so cool. So are these book matched?
These are, because all of these pieces of timber, I forgot to tell you that earlier. These will come out of the tree. Here's the tree.
Right.
So it's and then these 2 pieces are separated.
I see.
So then you've got the pattern matching. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the same thing with the back. So the tree again will have been growing here. Here's the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then that slice, quarter sawn, and then the pattern opens up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
likewise the sides. So there we go, like that, and that swirly bit at the end, we'll lose that because it's far too long, and we'll lose that little bit of swirl as well. So the next job is gluing these together. So I'll get those out of the way. What one does is you observe with this template. This is your guitar shape, and we're going, okay, this is sufficiently big for your shape of guitar. Likewise with the back, we'll be going, okay, we'll have it possibly that way round.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than that way round, or I don't want it that way round.
Right.
This bit of this bit of timber is better than that edge, so that goes in the middle. As the grain's got a little bit wider, so that's going to be the middle, and it's that way round. Sometimes the bits are so straight grained you can't tell one from the other.
Wow.
But we'll look at that and decide which. But that's definitely the middle. And that's definitely the middle on that. So what I'm trying to do is make that join in the middle. At the moment you've got great big gap.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that. So we've got to make that perfect fit. And the way that's done is by doing this. Still a gap in the middle. You see that little line?
Oh, yeah.
Still like that. So I'll go down to one piece. Try that. There we go.
Wow. That is so cool.
So basically wood glues only work if there's no gap. Again, Caveman's clamp. If you take that out of there, you're putting this into a smaller space. And that
Oh, wow.
pressure.
That is awesome.
You see?
That's very clever.
I'm sure a caveman invented that. And the paper is sitting here to stop the whole thing sticking.
Yes, of course.
And paper's better than using a piece of polythene because it'll absorb some of the moisture. Abracadabra. That's all level. And then on top of that, stick that and that.
You're just squeezing out excess.
I'm just making sure it's flat, just in case it decided to cockle, which I don't think it was, but I'll just do it just in case.
Sure.
Because I can. So that's that one. That is going to get chopped up in little segments and glued together into
Oh,
that,
wow.
you see? And that's how I prepare a neck, and that will then also eventually get chomped into that. You see, roughed out into
Oh
that.
my goodness, look at that.
So that's the stages of neck production for me. So
Fantastic. What are we doing today?
right, what we're doing today is we're going to bend the sides.
Oh my God.
So look, here we go. There's your sides. So last time you looked at these, they were rough and ready.
Yeah.
So I have thinned them down, so now you can see they're
Yep.
much thinner, and I've shaped them to an appropriate depth that I want. At the moment, they're parallel all the way along.
Right.
Eventually, they'll get a taper off. That little mark at the end here, the little nick off the end, that gives me their orientation.
Okay.
So I know that's that corner, and they're book matched, as you can see. That's how they would have been cut.
Check
So
that out.
they're twins.
Right.
So again, here's the tree, and this would have been growing like that. So the grain lines are perpendicular,
Right.
and then you get two consecutive slices that get opened up, and you've got a matching pattern.
Amazing.
Which is most obvious at the bottom there, because but most of that will disappear. So these are longer than I need them to be.
Okay, right.
But that depth there is about the depth that the side will be. It'll allow for a little bit of trimming. Okay. That is just boiling water. And I like to soak them. And I like to stick together. Now all these different woods behave differently, and everybody's got different theories as to whether certain bits of wood like to bend wet or dry,
Right.
you know, but I tend to stick with what the pattern that you've fallen into. You go, well, this works for me,
Yeah.
so I'll stick with it. So I generally do this to all the bits of timber.
When you're bending them.
Yeah, pre-bending them.
Yeah.
So it's amazing the amount of abuse the piece of timber that's just over 2 millimeters thick can handle. You know, you pour it in boiling water, stick it on this thing here. This is the bending iron. This is the most important bit. So that's hot. You see?
Wow.
And then I want a damp rag, so that gets stuck in there. So those need to sit. They need to cook for simmer on a low heat for I don't know, a few minutes. Nothing's very accurate in here, But it's one. We'll do one side and then we'll do the other side, and the second side's obviously got a lot more soaking than the first side. Does that make any difference? I can't tell. Which are side bending straps, and I've just made these out of sheet copper with 2 bits of wood at the end, and that we'll use on here with the side and the wet rag in between,
Oh, okay.
and that basically keeps the heat in.
Right.
And it supports the timber on the outside, but
Okay.
basically keeps the heat in, which makes it hotter, and that means it's going to bend more easily.
Right.
And I've got a short one for the waist, and I've got a longer one for the longer bends.
Right.
So I always start with the waist. So I don't know why, but I've always started with the waist, so I'll continue to start with the waist. Right, okay, here's the side, and we're going for this left-hand side as you look at the guitar first.
Okay.
And you can see I've made a little mark here. That is the waist
Right.
position, and that gives me a little bit of spare at that end and a little bit of spare at the other end.
Okay.
So I get this damp rag, lay it on, and so I can see I've put a little mark on the edge of the side so I can see where I'm aiming for,
Right.
and then with a bit of luck we get a bit of steam if we've got heat enough up. Maybe we haven't got enough heat going yet. I've had it sitting on low. But basically,
Oh,
if you warm
wow.
it and steam it, it will eventually become more flexible. But it's not very hot yet, so I only had it on half power. So we'll leave it a bit longer to get warmer. But you can see it's starting to, so I'm pressing here, but you give it too much force and you'll snap a piece of wood in half. So yeah, you go gently.
So you bend that until it fits.
Fits that side, yeah, and because the bending iron's not quite hot enough yet, I'll just put that back in the water. Yes. I'm trying to go, is it hot enough if it pops off? But see, it does appear to be warm, but give it just another minute or two and it'll... Let's go. Get that out of the way. And some bits of wood want to bend more easily than others.
Right.
Some bits are really chewy, so maybe this is just a chewy bit. And some bits of wood, quite a lot of them, like bending one way more easily than the other way. You know? So you go, this was a really hard waist to bend on this side, and then on the other side it goes easy. And then on the top bout, on both bits, it's vice versa. So we're basically getting there. So we eye up the mould, and if you overbend, you can unwind it. And the bit of wood tends to want to unwind anyway.
Right.
And then some bits of wood like unwinding more than others.
Of course.
So rosewood actually is one of the better woods of staying put, whereas maple you bend it and it just wants to spring back to where it was again, or halfway back. So you tend to overbend all the curves so that when it springs back, it's where you want it to be.
So that mark, that's
going to be the
here.
waist.
So
Yeah.
this way's there, right?
So I'm coming up here now, and I'm going, okay, how near is that mark?
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm going, let's go a bit further.
Right.
Let's go a bit further. So let's get the damp rag out.
Okay, because of course it dries the wood out, right, while you're doing this.
Yeah, it's drying the timber out. And when it cools off, it tends to, when the wood's cool, again, it'll stay put. While it's still hot, it's likely to bend.
Right.
So you'll see me wafting it around in a minute, trying to cool it. Kind of waft it in the air and try to cool it off. And you can see it's dried out. You can see, here's the wet stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the dry edge. And you can see it's very slightly scorched. If the iron gets too hot, it'll burn it.
Right.
And when you're bending wood like maple, of course it scorches it beautifully, which you've then got to scrape off in the process. And this is the bit that everybody who starts making guitars finds the hardest, I think, to make a smooth curve. So until these bending irons appeared, it was quite difficult. So this is me cooling it down again, and you get such aching hands doing this. Now I'm a bit aged. Because the amount of force you're putting on here is quite a lot.
Right.
So nice bit of warmth helps. So you can see that now fits that shape there.
Hang on, let's look. Oh, wow.
And that me little nick on here, that's telling me that that's the bit that's going up here on the guitar. You see?
I
so
see.
That's going to be that's what I'm aiming for.
That is so cool. Wow, it's actually looking like the body of a guitar.
Yeah, so again I offer that up to that and go, okay, it needs more bending there. I always think this kind of equates to a potter's wheel, where you get this lump of clay and throw it into this magical process. Suddenly the lump of wood is transformed.
Oh my goodness.
So that's not quite right, but what we do is, here's these high-tech waist expanders. Everything's nice and low-tech in here. So I'm going to hold that there, and then I start the other side. So, and I'll go backwards and forwards
Right.
between the two. So then this is the other one. Get rid of the excess water there. So what you've got to make sure is you get them the right way round in terms of the bend,
Yeah, right.
so that little nick there
Matches the neck and
the
the
nick
yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's very easy to do it like that,
Yeah.
or like that,
yeah.
if you're not paying attention, and I will try to pay attention. Here are the sides in the guitar.
Wow.
So-
Check that out.
So they're going to settle down for a couple of days.
So you leave that in there just to.
I just want to, yeah, in a couple of, tomorrow I'll get them out and go, does it need tweaking or not. You know, it will settle. You know, I just want to let them settle down. You know, they've been through quite a punishing ordeal. So then the next thing would be put a couple of blocks on. These are just random blocks, but it gets top block stuck on here and a bottom block stuck on here. That's how the two sides get together.
Oh right, okay.
And then when that's glued on, then we get some of this kerfing material will get stuck on around the edge here. See, like that. So and that gives us the surface for gluing the soundboard and the back on.
And what's the kerfing made of?
That's made of recycled Brazilian mahogany. You can see a screw hole's gone through here, so that bit will get missed out. But and these are recycled. That's part of an old snooker table. That piece is. As is that piece. You know,
Okay.
here's an old screw hole.
Well, can I have old snooker table in my guitar, please?
Yeah, we'll have old snooker, the old Brazilian snooker table.
Wicked.
Brazilian mahogany snooker table. Everything's recycled. So here we are
Oh wow.
with
Oh
the
my
back
goodness.
that was joined together last time, wasn't it?
Yep.
So I've now thinned it down. So that is the soundboard with the outline centre line drawn on, and then I've sealed it with a bit of shellac, and this is where the sound hole is going to go. That's the centre, and those are the edges. So the shellac's there to make a crisper cut for the little miniature router bit
Right.
that does that.
Oh, how cool.
And then this, so that's the soundboard,
Right.
and that's the back.
So this back, is that from the same tree as the sides?
No,
It's different.
no, I don't think that ever happens.
Right.
I think the people that import these timbers over here or over to maybe Germany before they come over here, they'll get a pallet of backs and a pallet of sides.
I see.
And they kind of sort them through and go, oh, that bit's about the right colour.
Right.
That's about the right grade. Look, there's a set.
So you actually put the rosette in before you cut it.
Before I cut it out, yes. So the next process is to clamp it on the bench, and because we don't have time for all this today, I'll show you that we're going to use some of these and some of those, and we're going to use this tool. So this is a baby electric motor.
A little Dremel.
Well, it's not a Dremel. This bit's Dremel, but this bit is another brand, Minicraft.
Okay.
These are all the little bits we use for this next process. So some nails, and we'll be using the 2mm one first. So that's a tiny little
Oh, the router bit.
router bit,
Wow.
which kind of has a down cut pattern,
Right.
so it shears the timber when it's cutting.
Right.
So it gives us a cleaner edge. So this all goes together in my half Dremel, half Minicraft hybrid machine. And then that goes into here, like so, and then very carefully you adjust the depth of that, and we'll stick a nail in the middle of here, and that's the pivot.
That's your pivot. Oh,
And then
okay.
And then this adjusts out, in and out.
Right.
So that then does, and it just works like on a compass, like so.
Right.
And then when we've routed these little channels that are the same size as these pieces of material. So that's the white stuff in the middle is timber, and then the outside blacks are fibre.
Right.
That helps them bend more easily.
Oh, okay.
Here's one I made earlier. You see, so those are the two fat strips.
Right.
On the inner ring, and then this is the
Strip on the outer.
That's the outer size one, the thin one. And you can see they join at the top here. And you go, well, that's a bit messy. You see, you'll have a fingerboard sitting over there like that.
Oh,
So-
yeah, right.
So it just hides that little bit of the join.
Oh, very good.
So it has to start and stop somewhere. So
Oh, so this is my fingerboard, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is ebony.
this is ebony, but it's, as you can see, it's not jet black, which doesn't make it worse. Just makes it more interesting.
Okay. That's what they say about me.
You can see by the time it's
still lovely.
it's been oiled and fretted, you hardly see that grey or brown. And I like the fact that it's got a bit of
Character in it.
bit of colour, bit of character in
yeah.
it. So there's your sides
Wow.
in the mould. So top block and bottom block are on.
Mhm.
So all I need to do now is stick this kerfing material on this bit here. So that's what we can do first off. Okay, so I want to go around about a foot to that, I think. Let's go to there. And this ought to that'll work. So this little bit supports this steep bend. If I can move that. Another one in there maybe. Right. An awful lot of the process of building guitars is stick it on proud, trim it back. You know,
Right.
these will have been stuck on proud, trimmed
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Like the front and the back are stuck on proud and trimmed back. And these are here to increase the gluing area, basically, for to join the soundboard to the sides.
Right.
You couldn't just glue a soundboard onto a little surface like that. Now we've got a 7 mils worth of gluing surface, which will make it possible, basically.
Sure.
And you're basically looking to see that the glue's squeezing out everywhere. And if the glue's squeezing out, it's a good fit. And these are special clothes pegs. They're not your average
Not your average clothes
They're
pegs.
not your average domestic clothes peg. Have a go with that.
Oh, blinking heck.
These are Russian clothes pegs. You can imagine a Siberian winter. They need
Putting their yak
they need
loin
something,
up on the...
something meaty they need. I just happened to find them in a market stall in Bristol. So that's where a screw went in. So I don't want that bit. Trying to cut that out.
Right.
Make that we'll delete that bit. And you have to...
It's like tape splicing.
Well, that's vaguely. But I mean, I want to cut. I need to cut these things into sections anyway.
Sure.
Because they'll never follow completely true. And this little bit here supports the kerfing and stops it cracking open.
Oh, right.
Just hugs it to the bend better, I suppose you could say. I want to make sure as it's all sticking down nice and square. And then all that glue will be this glue that's squeezed out.
Mm-hmm.
If we can remember in about an hour to clean that off while it's all slightly rubbery.
Okay.
And then it looks cleaner. You get it when it's just right. I don't know whether that's possible to show you that with a bit more daylight.
Yeah, nice.
So
Excellent.
if we can remember to do that. The sides have been bent.
Yep. And they're parallel.
And they're parallel.
Yep.
So in fact, in measurement terms, they're 102 millimetres deep, and they're 102 millimetres deep at this end as well.
Yep.
But the guitar side is never a parallel thing. If you look at this guitar here on side elevation, you can see the guitar's deeper here than it is here.
Yes.
And that's an aesthetic thing. It makes it look nicer.
Right.
If you actually made it parallel, it would look deeper there than there.
Okay.
The optical illusion makes it look weird.
Right.
Expand. But more so than that, the two faces of the instrument don't want to be face-to-face parallel, because it could easily set up a standing wave inside there.
Oh yeah!
And
Wow.
you would get some funny wolf note that would be going, "Yeah, I'm in charge,"
Sure.
and it would just sound like that's the theory is that will stop that happening.
Right.
But above all, it'll just make the thing look nicer if there's a drop in side depth, and depending on the size of the guitar, you'll make that drop more or less. So on a dreadnought, you might lose nearly an inch in depth.
Right.
On this, we're losing 15 millimeters,
Right.
which is somewhere around 5/8 of an inch
Nice.
in Imperial. So
Do you work in mills or?
I work in both.
Okay.
It's 15 inches.
You're ambidextrous.
Yeah, it is 15 inches wide.
Right. And
But
72
it's
mils.
102 millimetres deep. And the nut widths are all millimetres to me.
Okay.
And it makes sense because, when you're working on millimetres, you can go, it's just the nut width is 41, or is it 42 or 43 or 44?
Sure.
Rather than all those 16
and 1/8 of-
64ths.
yeah.
You just go, what? So when it gets bigger, 15 inches, 16 inches.
Yep.
So
Easy.
I've grown up with both and know both for different things. Maybe I'll move that out of the way.
Ah, look at that.
There is your soundboard. And if you look at this here, in case we don't get a chance to show you another day, before I get going on that, I have to test its depth. So that's what we've got here. There's little strips like this that are stuck in a groove.
Oh, wow.
Like that. Let's get a narrower piece over as well. So you see that would sit in there and be, should go in there. There it is, you see. And they will make up your rosette.
So you stick them in there, then sand them flat.
Yeah, sit them in proud, glue them in proud, and then smooth them off. So that's what we've got there at the moment. You're looking at that. And there's the join. And as I showed you before, the join will be covered up by a fingerboard there.
Oh man, that's so cool.
And this is your back. All down to the required thickness.
Wow.
You see? So that back is measuring 2.5 millimeters.
Wow, awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And at the moment, your soundboard is measuring about 3 millimeters. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know whether you can
Yep.
catch that. And at the moment, this board is even depth, 3 millimeters all the way across. Now, sometimes, after I've done the cutting out business, I will feather the edge, as in make it slightly thinner towards the edges of the guitar, of that soundboard. That will increase its bass resonance because it makes it looser near the edges.
Oh, wow.
So you can kind of play with the sound on a guitar totally by what thickness you're making this, how much strutting you put on it,
Right.
but also by, you know, doing subtle things like varying the thickness of a soundboard. You can kind of get more bass out of a small instrument if you make it loose round the edges.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in theory what you're sort of doing a bit by putting the purflings on.
Right.
You're reducing, when we get to that point, you'll see the kerfings actually are kind of eating into the soundboard
Yes.
halfway through, and they're making it slightly more flexible at the edges. And that's one of the reasons why fiddles have that piece of purfling on, because it makes them more flexible at the edge.
Right.
It's something I picked up from the fiddle makers.
Oh, wow.
They said that was the theory of theirs. So, but I've just sort of measured old guitars and gone, that's interesting. That's how they've got their extra bass response out of a small instrument, by making the edges thinner.
Right.
So, you know, okay, there's another tool at your disposal to make it, you know, one way or another.
Awesome.
So we can discuss what we're going to do with yours.
Okay.
So this, I've drawn the outline of the mould, and I'm going to cut 6 millimeters outside that. So
Okay.
this is going to make a bit of noise. Where should we start? There we go.
Starting to look like a guitar.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, get a bit of an idea of what it's all going to look like. So let's put the bits of knot guitar, which is an interesting concept, not disconnected with famous art quotes from the past, right? Michelangelo, this story, Michelangelo, when he carved David, was asked by somebody, I can't remember who, how did he carve such a magnificent thing out of this 7-metre lump of marble? And he says it's easy, you just take away what isn't David, and it's as easy as that, which you can use it as a quote for how do you carve a guitar neck. You just take away
the bits that aren't the neck.
How do you make a guitar? You get some planks of wood and you take away what isn't guitar, and there you are, you're left with a guitar.